Hi, and welcome to the sixth and special devlog of my game Journey of Happiness. You may ask yourself, what is so special about this devlog? Well, I have reached my first personal big milestone. I set myself the goal to create a prototype up until the end of the year, and actually I already achieved it. So these are all of the goals that I wanted to have in this prototype. So a farming scene, I wanted to have an NPC that I can buy stuff from and sell stuff to, a currency system, a mining scene, I wanted to have additional crops, a day and night cycle, but not visually, only the implementation of the code, and a basic UI. And well, even though it's not yet the end of the year, I already achieved this milestone. So let me not bore you anymore with this task board over here. Let's go right into the game. So this is the start screen of the game, and here not a lot has changed. The player can still start and exit the game. The only thing that I've added to this start screen is the settings menu. In here the player has the option to change the resolution with a drop down, change it from full screen to window mode, and he can also change the music and sound effects level. Keep in mind that I don't have any music or sound effects yet in the game, but all of these settings are already being saved. So I can, for example, change the resolution. I can go and set it to not full screen anymore, and all of the resolution really applies to it, which is super cool. Let's get back to full screen. I can also go ahead and click on save settings, and whenever the game is restarted, or whenever you open up the menu again, all of these settings are being filled up. So this was one of the first things that I've implemented up until today, but let's go and really start the game. You can still start a new game or load an existing file. I am going to load an existing file and now show you what actually changed within the game. So the biggest change definitely is the user interface. In the top left corner, I have implemented a interface for the user to see the current time, the current day, also the current month, or to be more precise, the season, and what year it is. So another cool thing with this display for the in-game time in the top left corner is that not only you have this basically clock that is going to move, I can actually go ahead and adjust the speed of the time a little bit. And then you see, well, now time flies by basically. You will obviously not be able to do that in the final game, but for testing purposes I can. Let's go ahead and increase the amount of days, or the day that we're currently at. So now we are at day 30 in spring, and now we are in the first day of summer. And as you've seen, the background for the season also changes. I kind of like the green. I do like the background for autumn and for winter the most. For spring, I will just have to adjust it. So now we are in autumn. Let's go ahead to the last one, and this is for winter. So to be honest, I really like this clock basic GUI in the top left corner so far. But let's move on to the other features that I've implemented. Also in the top right corner, I have implemented a couple of hearts. These do not have any interaction yet, and in the beginning of the game, the player will obviously not have this amount of hearts. He will have them later on in the game. He will start out with maybe 3, and whenever he gets hit by enemies, these hearts will be half full or maybe completely empty, and then he has to, for example, eat or sleep to regain health. I've implemented an energy bar that is already functional, and in the top right corner you also see the current amount of currency that you have. So you may have noticed that over here we have a small arrow and the user can click on it, and then we are presented with a small sidebar. I chose to create a sidebar that the player can hide by clicking on this button or tab or pressing escape, so that you do not have always the visual menu overview. I could also implement it, or I could have also chosen to add it to the inventory, but I chose to not to do that, to have the inventory only for the inventory, and to have all of these menu points over here for the menu stand alone basically. If the user clicks on the crafting button, well, a menu opens up which does not have any functionality yet for the crafting that the player will be able to do later on. Also, we will have the quests, even though they probably will not be really quests, more like small tasks that the player can do. A menu for the people, so here we will see all of the people that he's already met and his current standing with all of these people. The current skills, and also a small skill tree that the player will have. It will not be something huge, it will only be very, very small. For example, increase the energy, increase the hearts, or increase the amount of ladders or torches that the player will have when he enters the mine, stuff like that. A map, not sure if I keep this, but I've added it, so maybe I will create a map for the game. If not, it's going to be easy to take it out. Well, obviously you can also change the settings from within the game, and you can also exit the game. I've chosen to add a menu option for the player to actually exit the game, so that he's not going to be stuck playing my game forever. That would be horrible, right? So the next thing that I've added for the UI is a small tooltip. Whenever the user hovers over any item within the inventory, he is presented with a small description. So for example, here we have the ladder, and this item cannot be sold. Also, all of the tools will not be able to be sold, like the player will not be able to sell all of these items. So here you see that the axe, well, this item cannot be sold. Same goes for the bucket, the pickaxe, and the shovel, obviously. The other thing is that I've added a tooltip for my seeds. So here you can see we have the garlic seed, for example, and the garlic seed has a value of 11 coins. So if I would go to the NPC, I could sell one of these seeds for 11 coins. I've also added something to indicate the player whenever he has selected a tool, if he can use the tool or not. So I cannot use the pickaxe on this ground, but I can use the pickaxe to chop up this stone. And notice that it is changing to red as soon as we reach a certain distance. This just shows that, well, from here the player is not able to chop down the stone, but from here he actually can chop down the stone and I can use it. And as you've maybe noticed in the top right corner, the energy already decreased. So I hit the stone 3 times, I have reduced the energy amount that the player still has, and I've collected the stones, and the stones already have a value of 2 coins. So I can now go ahead and, for example, talk to this NPC. And in here we also, the only change in here is that I've added the coins, or the icon for the coins. And well, in here we can see that the actual tooltip for the stones, well, was obviously correct. I can sell the stones for 2 coins. This is the only change that I've made for, or the only visual change that I've made for the NPC. Within the mines, I've changed a couple of things, or not really a couple of things. I have changed one thing, and this is more a bug fix. But now it's 7 AM, something different. And maybe you've noticed that, well, in the background, it is really, really bright now, the image. So this indicates that currently we are still on day 1. Well, because my game currently starts at midnight of day 1. That's why at 7 AM it's still day 1. And the player now notices that it's brighter and that it's the day. I am planning on adding maybe a small sun that also cycles through here. That indicates, well, now we are in the morning, then we are in a midday, and if the sun is up here in the top corner, it's going to be the end of the day, and for the night maybe a small moon, but this is something later on. So I can go ahead and in the mine, I can chop down, or I can destroy a couple of these tiles, and as you've noticed, the energy decreased pretty fast, so I still have to fix this, or I still have to add or adjust the system to not decrease the energy completely after basically digging down 5 tiles in the mine. That would be too much. But what I've changed within the mine is a small bug fix. upon jumping. The player still can get stuck when turning, as you can see right here. So this is a bug that I still need to fix. But previously the player was also stuck when jumping or upon jumping in the top tile. And I fixed this bug. So now the player is not going to be stuck within the tile above him. So as you can notice, the mine itself is still a little bit buggy and I still have to adjust a couple of things. But so far I do already like it. Now let's go ahead and maybe use a couple of ladders to actually be able to leave the mine. And as you can see, I've also added the highlight for replacing of the ladders and obviously also for the pickaxes. So all of these small little things that the player might or might not notice, I've added. Let's go ahead and leave the mine. So the last thing that I've added is whenever you, for example, have grown a carrot or any other seed to the full stage and harvested it, most of them are edible, even raw. So if I hover over the carrot, for example, we see that we have an energy of 1 and a value of 10. So I can go ahead and I can use this carrot, I can select it, and I can press E. And you may notice I have reloaded the game. So I still have energy, so let's go ahead and use up a little bit of the energy. I can use the carrot and I can actually eat it and replenish a very small amount of energy, as you've seen. So I have implemented the core features for the energy system, but I still obviously need to adjust them and scale them properly so that whenever you use something, you don't use so much energy as you do right now. But these are all of the functionalities that I've implemented so far. Obviously, you still are able to chop down the trees. You still are able to plant crops. So I can still use the shovel. I can still dig up the dirt tiles. I can use any of these seeds that I want. I can place them in here. I can use the bucket. And if I have water in a bucket, I can water the crops and I can let them grow and harvest them. I can, as I've said, I can use the pickaxe and I can go ahead and chop down this tree and collect all of the logs. So I did finish my farming scene, a basic user interface. I have a basic time system. I have my mining scene. I can grow crops, I can harvest them, I can sell them, I can even already eat them and replenish energy, I can use up energy. So all of these things I've implemented a little bit more than I wanted for the first prototype, but hey, I guess it's better to have more than to have less, right? So I guess this video was a little bit longer than expected and a little bit longer than the previous videos. If you've made it this far into the video, well, thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Maybe any ideas that you have, some bugs or some bugs that you've seen that I've maybe not noticed yet, even though there are still a lot of bugs. So thanks a lot for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.